Why do you think freedom of speech is so important? Many people will say they simply don't support the policing of speech, but it's so much more than that. Freedom of speech, the free exchanging of ideas, is what allows us as human beings to grow. When you accuse someone of hate speech simply for saying something you find offensive, when you try to censor someone by shutting down or interrupting their speaking events, you become an obstacle to the exchanging of ideas. You become an enemy of free speech. If I were to say, depression isn't real, people are just exaggerating, feeling a bit down, what is the appropriate reaction? Is it calling me an offensive, insensitive bully, typing up your autobiography about how depression has ruined your life and so, by saying it isn't real, I have hurt you and you're going to get my video removed for slander? Or would it be better to engage me rationally, linking me to studies that demonstrate how people suffering from depression undergo both mental and physical deterioration, showing me the medical research that offers scientific evidence that depression is actually a biological illness, thus proving me wrong? Of course the latter is more reasonable. You should desire to enlighten ignorant people, not shut them down. If I were to say fat people are unhealthy and they need to lose weight, what is the appropriate reaction? Is it calling me an offensive, insensitive bully, typing up your autobiography about how, despite being roughly the shape of a somewhat deflated beach ball, you still run 5 miles a day and eat mostly salad? So you're going to get my video removed for shaming you? Would it perhaps be better to engage me rationally and ask, why do you believe that fat people are unhealthy and need to lose weight? So that I can then link you to the studies that illustrate how being fat can lead to health complications including heart disease, stroke and cancer, and that it can take years of your life. Being fat is, quite literally, killing you. Just because the truth hurts doesn't mean those who speak truthfully are engaged in hate speech. Only children stick their fingers in their ears when faced with facts they don't like. Well-adjusted, self-respecting adults learn from their mistakes and admit when they're wrong. They don't take a temper tantrum and try to censor people. The more insidious sister of imposed censorship is self-censorship. When you restrict your own speech out of fear of reprisal, a thing, unfortunately, not of the past. Currently, Professor Jordan Peterson, a clinical psychologist and professor of psychology at the University of Toronto, is one of the nominations for the position of Lord Rector at the University of Glasgow. Conversely, Milo Yiannopoulos also has a nomination. And the reaction is precisely what you'd expect. So-called liberal students protesting their nominations. I've spoken to other students, both in person while on campus and online as Yorick, who've told me that they're voting for Peterson or Yiannopoulos, but they aren't telling any of their classmates that they are. Why not? Because they're afraid. They are afraid that by announcing who their views most align with, they will be accused of being sexist, homophobic, transphobic white supremacists. Which is ironic given the fact that some of the students I know who are voting for Milo are not white and I'm voting for Jordan Peterson. Now, I don't agree with everything Yiannopoulos has said. In fact, I find some of his opinions completely unreasonable. This lad has argued that Catholics are right about everything and that most lesbians aren't actually lesbians because female sexuality is more malleable. But anyone who has actually watched one of his talks in its entirety, rather than the cropped compilations of him trying to be edgy on YouTube, are well aware that Milo Yiannopoulos is not a sexist, nor a homophobe, nor a white supremacist. So why are students so frightened of defending him? I'll tell you why. Students are afraid to speak their minds and to engage in civilised debate out of fear that they will be accused of being bad people, that they will be ostracised, their positions at university or even at their jobs will be jeopardised. That this fear exists in one of our most ancient and well-respected universities is disgraceful. I will be voting for Professor Jordan Peterson for the position of Lord Rector of the University of Glasgow. If you've been following any of the drama surrounding him, you'll know that by declaring his intent to refuse to have his speech policed, that being his refusal to acknowledge gender-neutral pronouns like ze and zir as valid, he has been threatened with legal action on the grounds of discrimination, to the point that the university he works for, the University of Toronto, issued him with a warning in order to distance themselves from him. A university distanced itself from one of its tenured professors because he refused to be told how to speak. Because he refused to lie, to say that there are multiple genders, and for that, he has been demonised as a bigot. I don't know if you saw Peterson debating with Nicholas Matt, who is an interdisciplinary historian who teaches trans studies at the University of Toronto. But this guy denies that there is such a thing as biological sex, not gender expression. He denies that there is such a thing as biological sex, and that it is discrimination to say otherwise. That is what Professor Peterson is up against. That is what you, as a reasonable supporter of free speech, is up against. This is what happens when universities become havens for children in adult bodies. Then again, I need to be careful about what I say, because although I mean many young adults these days are mentally immature, I fear that someone, could take me literally and, never mind.